you here to do, and we're doing a foods demonstration, is the food that we are going to demonstrate today is something that's been growing in our food. Yes, I'm fine.
I'm sorry, can I have a knife?
Yeah, somebody else will take care of you. We're videotaping this. Because we're growing it in our tower garden. And today what we're going to be making is something that's a little bit different, and I don't know if most of you have had it. We're going to be making pesto. How many of you have ever had pesto? A couple of you, all right? It's good to kind of live outside of your box and try some different foods. And pesto is grown, and I harvested our pesto from our tower garden. This is an example of, if you buy it at the store, you can buy, this is basil that's made into pesto. So this is a basil, okay? This is $3.50. So it's not cheap. When we planted basil, is there anybody in here who planted basil? Okay, a few of you. Your seed packet was like 69 cents. So for 69 cents, we are growing basil that is still growing. We had some that was big from that I had planted earlier. So we can grow lots of plants for 69 cents. Okay, so the example of growing vegetables, you can save lots of money. Does anybody know what this is?
No, it's squash.
It's a squash, and there's a certain variety. It's called a... Okay, it's not a watermelon, but somebody is growing watermelon. This is spaghetti squash. Has anybody had spaghetti squash? All right, 3 of you. And it's really cool, and maybe another time I'll show you the demonstration on how to do spaghetti squash. Spaghetti squash is, you just cut it, put a little olive oil, put a little seasoning on it, and bake it. And believe it or not, when it cooks up, when you take a fork and just kind of rake inside of it, it looks like spaghetti noodles. So then you can add some spaghetti sauce, and it's a very low carbohydrate, very good, healthy food that's healthier than using spaghetti noodles. And if anybody has diabetes in your family, do any of you have people who are diabetic? Okay, this is something they can eat, and it lowers their carb count and their sugar count, so that's a healthier version. So just kind of want to introduce you to some new vegetables. So today we're going to be using basil to make pesto. All right, so on the sheets that were passed out, you can look off of the sheet. The main ingredient is basil, which, believe it or not, on this recipe they didn't put the amount of basil you need because they let you put in as much as you want, okay? So what I've got here, I've got some basil that I grew this summer in the tower garden, and I had so much basil, it was unbelievable. So I took the basil and I put it in the food processor, and I put a little olive oil in it, and I froze it. So I had like about 2 tablespoons in every little Ziploc baggie. That's what you're seeing down in here, this green. Okay, so I put my 3 packages that I had frozen, and then I took our basil that we were growing, that's what this is, harvested. It looked very similar to this, but in our tower garden. You would just basically take the basil, pull off the leaves like this. It's an herb, kind of. Okay, wash it. I washed these. That's why I've got it in the sieve, so it was washed. And you'll put it in the food processor. So about 1 cup to 2 cups, depending on how much you want basil in there. Is there anybody who has a nut allergy? We do have somebody who has a nut. Okay. All right. So this is the basil that goes in here, and we're going to the first thing we're going to do is hit the food processor. Does anybody have a food processor at their house? Use it? Okay. It just chops stuff up really fine. I love my food processor. So here we go. I put the lid on for safety. Okay, and you should be able to look up here, and I'll show you what it looks like. See, it's all ground up. Now,
Can you guys see in the background? Not really.
can you see? Can you look up here?
Look out a little bit. Or the mirror. The mirror.
Oh, the mirror.
Just an inch or 2 maybe.
This way or that way?
This way. A little more. Yeah.
There you
Okay.
go.
All right. Okay. So now it's ground up. Some people are afraid of green things. Okay, my husband is like anything green he thinks he doesn't like. So I made this last night and brought it home, and he's like, "What is this?" And I said, "It's pesto." We made potatoes, which I'm making you some pesto, roasted potatoes, and we're making grilled cheese sandwich with pesto. Okay, so we're gonna try it. Everybody keep an open mind. Try it, you'll like it, okay? Don't be Mikey. That was an old commercial years ago. So I ground that up. Now the next thing we're gonna add is 4 cloves of garlic. When you buy garlic, it looks like this. How many of you like garlic? Love the smell of garlic. Okay, you might have smelled a little bit of it today. So when you buy a clove of garlic, we stick it in here, okay? And this is a garlic press. Okay, Pampered Chef has these. Yeah, I love this. It's fun. It reminds me of a Play-Doh Fun Factory. Oops. She's garlic it. It kind of shoots out, but it doesn't give you the outside part of the garlic. So it says 4 cloves of garlic. I'm going to make a smaller batch, so I'm only going to do about, no, I am. You all like garlic? All right, we'll have a garlic. Okay. Squeezing it. This is a good Christmas present if you like garlic in your house because it's fun. Mess with the garlic, it's easy to clean out. Do another clove. Okay, so I'm gonna get the garlic cloves in there. Okay, then we're gonna put 1/4 cup of olive oil. Olive oil is a healthier oil for you. So I've got my olive oil. Measuring. Olive oil. Okay, on your recipe, the next thing it says it needs salt. I'm trying to read, multitask. Okay, and I'm just going to put a couple pinches of salt. Don't want to make it too salty because Americans, we have high blood pressure and that's not good for us. So we're kind of putting that back. The other thing we need then is 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. Okay, so there's cheese in this. Okay, and if we're at 1/4 cup, I'm ready. You all like cheese?
Yeah.
Okay. We put a little bit more than 1/4 cup. You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And the next thing is pine nuts. Okay. Pine nuts. And we're going to put the pine nuts. We need just 2 tablespoons of pine nuts. Not very much. Maybe you've had pine nuts before. You could put walnuts in it. Okay. It's just if you don't have pine nuts. Pine nuts are a little bit more expensive, but I want you to try some new things. So we'll put the pine nuts in. Okay. And Austin, can you get me about 1/4 cup? Put about 1/2 cup in there of warm water. Okay. So now I'm going to put it back in my food processor. I've got the garlic. I've got the olive oil. I've got one more thing I need to put in. I need to put 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in here. Okay, and I'm going to grind this up. I'm going to add this just to get it to the right consistency. Maybe a little less green. Okay, see it's ground up. It looks kind of funky, okay? I'm going to add a little bit of water, 1/4 cup of water to make it a little runnier. I've got more than I need, so I'm just putting a little bit in to get it to the consistency. And voila, that's pesto. If you buy pesto, it would be very expensive. $4 to $5 for a container of pesto. Yeah, and it's very small. And how long did that take us to make this?
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes, and I was doing a lot of talking in between. Okay, so all you need again, the main ingredient is the magic basil. Okay, how many of you before today, when I said pesto, had any idea what was in pesto? Okay, nobody. Okay, so now what did you learn? You learned about a new vegetable. Tonight when you go home, you can say, I can make some pesto grilled cheese, and your parents will be impressed because that is pretty high society when you have pesto. And it's not a cheap thing, but when we grill it ourselves, it becomes healthier. The other neat thing about this, now I didn't slide anything in on you to sneak any nutrients in, but we could take the spinach that's growing back there, we could throw some spinach in. What else could we throw in just to add a little bit of more nutrients to this? We could do tomatoes. It might give it a different color. So if we're saying we're eating pesto, pesto is green, but we could make it more of a salsa pesto. Green peppers, if you like peppers. Jalapenos, if you like a hot kick to it. Cilantro. Usually cilantro we put in our salsa. So we will be making salsa. How many of you like salsa and chips? We'll do that once we get our tomatoes growing. Anybody plant tomatoes in this class? Okay, got some tomatoes, so hopefully those will be productive. So what we're going to do next is I have potatoes that are going, and we're going to take some of our pesto and put it over our roasted tomatoes. I made this last night. My husband loved it. And we're making grilled cheese. So what you'll do is you'll take a plate. You'll get maybe about 1/4 of a grilled cheese sandwich, and you'll put a little pesto. Just open your sandwich, put a little pesto on it. Try some pesto grilled cheese. And then I'm going to finish making the potatoes. Okay, so I'm just bringing my potatoes. Does anybody have an air fryer at your house? That's another wonderful Christmas gift. An air fryer, if you like, how many of you like deep fried anything? Pickles, french fries, okay? This has no oil. The oil is at the bottom. It doesn't touch the food, and you can hear the air. It is cooking, but it's not adding any oil to your food, so it's a lot low calorie, a lot healthier. So I'm going to take my pesto, some of this pesto, and I'm going to just put it across the potatoes. Does that look kind of funky? Anybody work at a restaurant? Okay, so this would be something maybe you tell your boss, hey, I have a new recipe we should add to our menu. Pesto potatoes. I'm going to take a little bit of pepper, since the potatoes, usually I put a little pepper in seasoning, a little pepper and my salt, a little bit more salt. Okay, and I'm going to stick it back in here for just a few minutes. That's an Air Daddy. You probably, maybe some of you have a Fry Daddy. That's an Air Daddy. So some good Christmas gift ideas. Does anybody have any questions so far? Everybody's good? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the pesto maybe in 2 bowls. We'll maybe have 2 lines. Stephanie, she's my assistant, and Mrs. Layfield is my assistant. So we'll put some paper plates out. We'll pass the paper plates out so you all have a paper plate. Put some grilled cheese on your sandwich, on your plate. And then we'll put some knives out. So don't eat your sandwich until you get the pesto on it. All right, so I'll put the pesto in 2 bowls and spread it down. Any questions? Yes, questions?
We get to eat the potatoes.
You'll get the potatoes too. Yes. I've got some picks, I think, back there, Mrs. Layfield. So we'll use that for the potatoes. You'll come grab a potato or 2 on a skewer and you can try the potatoes. Price-wise, our grilled cheese, if we were to make our own bread, which in Healthy and Safe Foods we do that, between the bread and the cheese and the pesto, you've probably got about 75 cents a sandwich. If you went to a restaurant, how much would you have in a pesto grilled cheese? It's kind of high end.
Probably $10.
Yeah, probably $10 with some roasted potatoes. If you go to a nice restaurant and you see something like that on the menu, that's a lot of money. So for a career, if you open your own restaurant or food truck or catering business, you know, got to have a little creativity. And the fresher, people love eating it fresh. This is organic, so it's fresh, and people want to do their body good, so they would spend the money on that. All right, bon appetit.